Joseph Stalin was from Georgia, and he, basically gave it South Ossetia and Abkhazia. And to say that the United States wasn't involved in any way helping launch that attack on South Ossetia there in Georgia is just amazing. I mean, Russia has many more claims for its security.
The Pentagon and Washington didn't want that attack. Somebody may have been sending signals to the Georgian government, but also there's a lot of evidence that the attack was provoked. There had been attacks from inside Ossetia beforehand against the surrounding Georgian villages. The Russians were amazingly ready to put thousands and thousands of troops in immediately. It has all the hallmarks of a trap. Now, the fact that Washington is absolutely incompetent and has not been behaving in a diplomatic manner should not be used to exonerate the stupidity of Moscow, which has actually managed to unite the West and the rest of the world in a way that's almost unprecedented. At a time when more and more European and other governments were trying to put distance between themselves and the hawks in Washington, he's actually what they've done from Moscow is to manage to get the majority of the Czechs and the Poles to.
Oh, really? The European Union didn't put sanctions on Russia.
To get people in
the European Union didn't put sanctions on Russia.
It hasn't united. Now want to join it. So, I mean, what the Russians have done is not only illegal, it's inept, and they have consistently broken their promises. The person who's tried to reach out most to Russia, President Sarkozy of France, which has traditionally tried to play an intermediary role between Washington and Moscow, tried to do it this time, and every single
but the most important part,
it's ridiculous to claim Russia has no claim on Ossetia.
The Russians will withdraw to the
when the United States and NATO
and they haven't
helped take over Kosovo. What about NATO stealing Kosovo? What about NATO stealing Kosovo? I mean, you're billing this as if Russia is the bad guy.
Another foreign country, and another foreign country, and supply.
It's Georgia that escalated this.
Guys, let's stay on 1 second. One foreign country go another foreign country and give it for citizenship passports just to give them 120, 140, 200,000 citizenship. Any reason to do it? Why it was done in 90? Based on which?
They're on the border. They're 90% Russian. They're 90% related to ethnic Russians. They're on the border.
No, they're not related to ethnic Russians.
Russian diplomats went down there.
I'd like to go to Ian Williams. All right, just a second. Ian Williams, I'd like to have your response. You said, well, the Russians have united the West with Washington, with the hawks in Washington. Alex says that is not the case. Now, we have articles that simply contradict that, especially Italy, Germany, even France to some extent. They're not that united with the U.S. Turkey says, well, I'm out. Count me out.
They're not united on the details of what to do about it, but they're certainly united on the fact that Russia has been a threat. I mean, you have to see what's happened.
There are no sanctions. There are no sanctions.
40%. In the first 2 weeks, 16
there is only unilateral on the nuclear waste deal.
All right. Now let's.
I'd like to counter this.
All right, Alex, go ahead.
Let me just briefly say something here. Look, I'm no fan of Vladimir Putin. I'm no fan of what Russia's doing. The point is, Russia is not expanding. Russia has NATO encircling it, moving in missile systems, moving in advisors, moving in weapons, moving in ships, moving in aircraft. It's certainly a provocative move by the United States, by the criminals that run our country, and I don't want that done in our name. And then you have the United States swearing that they wouldn't make Kosovo independent, and last year made it independent. I mean, this is outrageous. That's why you saw Russia build up. Russia saw the Georgian forces building up, and Russia had spies in Georgia.
It said that Kosovo would have an act of self-determination. It had its act of self-determination. The people there who had previously been massacred and chased out at bayonet points by the Serbs, who regarded them as alien Turks and Muslims, voted overwhelmingly that
all sides were killing each other.
And we'll come back to this point.
Are you going to talk about ITN fake photos of people in China?
And the Soviet Union broke up. For better or worse, the deal that was accepted by all of the parties was that the previous boundaries would be accepted. Kosovo had, in everything except name, was a constituent republic of Yugoslavia, the Federal Republic. In the Soviet Union,
10 down the street line.
The boundaries that Stalin drew.
The great game, huh, buddy?
In the 30s.
Playing the little people off against each other.
difficulties otherwise are so bad. Well, can you imagine?
You need to visit
whenever the Russians, when Chechnya tried to get autonomy, they didn't say, "Oh, all of these people have separate passports, and we must respect their right to self-determination."
All right, now
what about
and that was another U.S. finance deal.
All right,
just like having
just like Washington.
Just like having the Mujahideen attack the Russians in 1979 to get a Russian response to set them up. Now, I'm not saying what the Russians did in Afghanistan was good. No. I'm saying I don't want a new Cold War. I don't want my children drafted. Okay? It's clear the United States is bullying Russia, trying to start a new Cold War so they can have weapons sales and prop up the dollar.
All right,
okay? We have a domestic police state here in the U.S.
All right, Alex,
we're losing our freedom.
Let's move on with the specifics of what's happening on the ground right now. This was the motivations behind what's taking shape. Of course, a lot of controversy surrounding it, as we have a controversy surrounding this discussion. But let's go to Reuters. Russia criticized the U.S. for pulling nuclear deal. The move was widely seen as penalty on Moscow for its sanctions in Georgia, but officials in both Washington and Moscow said the step could ultimately save the agreement, possibly for future U.S. administration, by preventing Congress from sinking the deal. Alex, let's go to Gregory for a change. Gregory, I'd like to have your take on the significance of U.S. withdrawing from this 1-2-3 deal with Russia, and whether or not Bush is helping save the deal because of Congress in this environment would anyway simply go around and sink the deal.
I think we have.
Would you like me to answer first?
Let's
have Gregory, and then I'll get back to Alex.
I'm here.
United States, and everything was done in the country right now. It's a lot of things done to elect a right guy for the right party. I think Bush done some things to elect McCain. Definitely, I think this decision going to help McCain to be elected for sure. But maybe this Bush election going to be resolved by new administration. I remember when President Reagan was running for the office, and everybody called him the evil, and he called Russia evil. But finally, he became one of the greatest presidents of the history of the United States. And let's see what's happening. It depends who gonna run administration, by Obama or McCain. We're gonna see new relationship with Russia, definitely. And a lot of things was done right now. A lot of decisions were done right now between Russia and the United States, between the Congress and Russian Duma, between the Medvedev and Bush. Is going to be resolved definitely after election. Let's see.
But things are getting so nasty. I wouldn't know what would be left of this relation for the next president. Alex, I'd like to have your take on this deal. But first, let's take a look at ABCnews.com that goes, U.S. cancels Russian nuclear deal. In a statement, U.S. Secretary of State Condi Rice said, quote, "We make this decision with regret. Unfortunately, given the current environment, the time is not right for this agreement." So the U.S. simply pulling out of the 1-2-3 agreement with Russia. No nuclear deal, no more, at least for now.
Well, I was going to say that is clearly a sanction, but we don't see the European Union with one. Now, this is a deal to move this nuclear waste to Russia. You do see attacks on their stock market, and that's because the West is mad that some of their puppet oligarchs have been kicked out of Russia, and they're desperate to not have a bipolar world. They want a unipolar New World Order, as the Russian president has talked about, and has, we've got Gordon Brown running around calling for a British, U.S.-based New World Order, and so that's why we have them engaging in these provocative actions. I mean, moving ships into the Black Sea, moving more troops into the Caucasus, during a war, flying in 2,000 Georgian troops plus out of Baghdad, out of Iraq, into the middle of that. It's been confirmed military aid being brought in. This is an incredibly provocative action, and there's a lot of evidence that there were U.S. advisors involved on that sneak attack. And look, I'm living here in the U.S., and my media was reporting that Russia snuck attacked Georgia, basically. And so then to have this spin that somehow Russia is completely at fault. I'm not saying Russia is perfect, but to have the spin that this is, Russia way out of bounds, way out of their territory. I mean, we have the United States going into Iraq, going into Afghanistan, and then 10,000 miles away, and then lecturing Moscow for going 50 miles, 60 miles outside of their border, when they're having their peacekeepers murdered, is just incredible. And so I don't want sanctions against Russia.
Now, we have to take a break. When we come back, we'll go back to Ian Williams on the winners and losers of all of this, plus this nuclear deal, the withdrawal. Don't go away.
Russia expecting to target